Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to PremierVRA Racing Academy. Today's lesson is going to be about how to get better at racing. I'm just going to start my broadcast screen real quick. So, what I hear, you hear. So, alright, so that's good to go. I like to see what you see and hear what you hear. Alright, so how to get better at racing. Well, first thing you have to understand is there is nothing that you cannot learn how to do. Once you say that within yourself, you can pretty much, become as good as anyone you see doing it. Just make sure I got my car ready. So we're going to use the Formula Hybrid 2021 around Abu Dhabi. We've been here for a couple of days trying to get quicker. Struggled a little bit yesterday, but that's okay. So how to become good at racing. You have to realize within yourself, like, there's nothing that is taught that you don't have the capacity to learn. Once you realize that, you can look at these figures, these race car drivers, as like godlike figures, right? But you'll be wrong for doing that. To give them such praise, and you find yourself separating them from the normal ability of mankind. It is not easy to become Lewis Hamilton, but it's not impossible. Or I should say, it's not easy to do what he does, but it's not impossible. Or Max Verstappen. But you don't want to put what these guys You don't want to make what these guys do impossible in your mind. So that's step one. You have to believe that you can do it. And step two is just basically giving respect to whatever craft it is that you want to learn. In this case, we say we want to learn racing. So you have to respect the craft. You can't say I have a natural ability to adapt to things and think that you'll come into a car and you'll immediately be able to put down some great lap times, And proof of it is when you go to the go-kart track, right? And you get out there and you and your buddies are going at it, and then there's another group of guys that'll show up, and you and your buddies won't be able to catch them. And you say, why are these guys so fast? Because first off, they're there all the time. Meanwhile, you and your buddies just went for someone's birthday, So you have to go into a situation like this with respect. Say, you know what? It takes years to perfect the craft. It takes years to learn. In other words, it takes and remember, the technology is ever updating. It's always getting better, getting more efficient. It's ever changing. So you have to have a respect for whatever it is craft that you're getting into. And once you do that, you're operating in with a characteristic called humility. And when you're acting with humility and being humble, it's you're apt to teach, apt to be taught. Excuse me. Now I can teach you something. But if you go into it with the mentality of I know it all, you'll learn nothing. It doesn't matter who your teacher is. It could be Lewis Hamilton. But if you go to it and you get under him and act as if you know everything, he's not going to be able to teach you anything. There's no room for him to teach you anything. So the first step is what? Believing that you can do what it is you set out to do. Believing that none of these things are impossible. And then, number two, having the respect for what it is that you want to be taught. And once you get that going, then we open up to lesson number one. Track familiarization. Now, track familiarization is operated by everybody. Everybody. I mean, even those the top racers of the world have to familiarize themselves with the track every year, every season. So no team goes into the into a race weekend with last year's data. They're not doing that. They're getting updates, right? They have a new chicane on the track. They have a new pit exit, or pit entry. Something has updated on the track that each team needs to understand and know. They have new limits. The limits of the track always change. So those are some things that that drivers have to be familiar with every time they get out there on the track, every season. They have to be familiar with the new layout of the track. So that's why I call it track familiarization. And what that basically does is it teaches you your braking references. It teaches you your gearing, your gear selection for each corner. Wow, okay. It teaches you sorry, I got thrown off a little bit. It teaches you how the limits of the track, how hard you can push into a certain corner. You have to know these things if you want to do well during the race. So the first thing I like to do when I jump onto a new track, like Yas Marina, this track here, this is my first week on this track, and I mean I've driven the track in wow, I'm all over the place. I've driven the track in F1 like 2019 or something. I'm not too hip to the F1 series of games. I don't believe that those are simulators. I think those are very arcadish games, but I'm not very familiar, but I'm familiar with the track from seeing it on that series. And then this is Assetto Corsa, so whole different track layout. This track layout was actually made by a group of modders, Euro racers. That's the name of their group, Euro racers. I guess that modified the files, and they pretty much updated and programmed it to make it look as genuine as possible to the real thing. So learning the track was was necessary for me. Now, let's see. Okay, I got it loaded. Had to change my tune. So let's just make like standby. Test, test. Alright, I'm back. We're just gonna go with, I'm just gonna come out of the pits and pretty much show you how I get familiar with a track, right? So coming down into this corner, I see the meter boards, right? And I'll try and slow down as much as I can at that first meter board. As you see, we have quite a bit of distance to go to get to the apex, right? So we actually need to be able to stop about here, turn in, well, a little bit more than that, so that we can set ourselves up for a good exit. So again, we'll do the same thing with the next corner, right? We'll see the meter boards come, the 200 meter board. Look how much distance is left. So what I'm basically doing is I'm letting myself know that based on what the car can do, you know, I'm able to go a little bit deeper into that braking zone. So if the car is stopping, you know, 50 meters from the apex, then you would just subtract those 50 meters from those boards, right? So if I stop and I'm back here, but I really need to be all the way up here. This is a bad corner to show you. I want to show you guys on the next lap coming. If I know that I'm gonna like stop 50 meters before, I'm gonna subtract those 50 from those meter boards, right? So if I stopped at the I put my brakes on at the 200 meter board, then I'm gonna put my brakes on at the 150 meter board because I know I got some room to play. And basically that's all you do, you know. If you have the braking ability, the braking technique, or the, you know, you're familiar with braking, you know, you're going to give me a second, I'm getting myself mixed up. Driving and talking is very difficult. But if you have like some powerful brakes, you know, you're able to get deeper into the brake zone and stop more accurately, like, you know, more controlled than if you have, let's say, some as I have some cheaper brakes where you'll put it down and you'll lock up really easily. Like, I mean, you can feather, like for me, if I feather the brakes or I just put, you know, regular, you know, what's required, it just locks up. So I have to like dial down my brake in order to like get it, you know, proper or pretty decent. It's a headache. So I need to be able to get some better brakes first, so I can really put some force into that pedal and feel what it's like to have more control going into a corner. So let's just go back to the pits. We'll come back around. Alright, so coming out of the pits, and going into our first brake zone. So remember, we're stopping 50 meters, so we'll use the 100 meter board. Look at that. And we're now, with the exception of locking up, if you saw, I did lock up. We're going to do it again. but this time we're gonna try not to lock up. And as I told you before, it's just because of my brakes, the way they are. I have others, but one of them is untested. It's the Fanatec CSL pedals, which they're not load cell. I have to buy the load cell in order to, get them to function correctly. Gotta buy it separate. And then I have also the CSL Elite load cell pedals from last season. But check this out, the 100 meter board, it gives, see, like, so we knew we had time, like we had more distance to go. So we're gonna do the same thing here. Here we were stopping at the 200 meter board, and it looked like we had quite a few to go. So we'll stop at 150, and we still okay with the lockup, right? Well, we still have some space to go. So we'll say, okay, instead of stopping at the 150, we'll do a 125, which there's no 125 meter board, but there's a 150 and then there's a 100. So you would imagine that right in between there's a 125, but you have to kind of imagine that in order to get it done, precisely. So this is all the track familiarization. And the first thing I like to do is find out my braking references. It's not hard to know how to corner and set yourself up for the apexes and whatnot. It's not hard to do that. The hardest thing is learning all of these things, like braking references and whatnot, and putting the puzzle together at the end, putting it all together. Alright, so we'll go back to the pitch. We'll come out on that turn that we love. Okay, so coming into that corner, the 100 meter board, or let's do 125. See, that 125 kind of fits perfect for me. And that's what you do. You want to drive fast, right? And you want to drive as you see other guys drive, but you'll never get the speed that they have around the track if you don't apply the fundamentals to your driving. So in this sport, it's better to learn how to do what you do well and adapt to, update your style a little bit more. So okay, so I'll learn how to do all of these things, and then I'll find out as I'm watching another guy's videos, like, or I'm watching the actual racing, like the race. I'll say, oh man, he took that corner in 4th gear. So I've been taking it, let's say, in 3rd gear. I've slowed down, got my gearing right all the way down to 3rd gear, and I make my corner, and I do it very well. But another person, you'll watch a lap from Max Verstappen, and he'll do 4th gear. So you say, man, I didn't know you can come around that corner in 4th gear. So you would kind of like, you would kind of take that that technique from him and add it to your to your bag of tricks. So you would just throw that in there and say, okay, that corner is a fourth gear corner. All right. One thing that I also figured out when I was watching the lap of the F1 race that these guys were doing, the qualifying. I was watching Max Verstappen's qualifying lap, And I realized that on the straight, the first DRS straight that we get to, he was doing 325 kilometers, right? He was getting up to about 325 kilometers on that straight before he started to brake. And my car was getting up to 314 kilometers before I had to brake. So I said to myself, this guy is basically 11 kilometers faster than my car. And this is supposed to be a replica of what we see. So of course I said, okay, how can I do that? So what I started doing was I started tuning my car, and then look at the speed. Now I'm at 322 kilometers, right, on the straight. So my tune allowed me to get that time that I was missing. Because I didn't notice, I didn't know I was missing time until I watched the Formula One race, the qualifying, and realized that this guy is like smoking down the straight. I gotta figure this corner out. So that's what I usually do. I usually like watch these guys do qualifying laps, and I'll see. You can get a lot of your information off of their laps. A lot of their information. Okay, this is not the fourth gear turn corner we were talking about. That was a hypothetical fourth gear corner we were talking about. That corner I need to be in third gear. Oh man, we gotta figure this one out too. So that's this is track familiarization. So another thing I like to know in the while I'm running the track is how much I can push the limits of a track, right? So going around each corner, you will see you'll see curbs, and curbs are those red and white striped curbs that surround the track, and they're there for a reason. Those curbs are basically there to it's funny, I honestly don't know like why they're there, but because some places don't have them, but like most places, like most corners have them. But like they'll have them on either side of a track. But what I use them for, because I don't know the official reason why they're there, is I know like those are my limits to stay on the track and not get into the grass, because once you get into the grass, your tires slip. See, there's curbs here. There's curbs here on the straight. So as I was saying, I'll use those curbs as my limits. And what I mean is, you're able to put wheels over the curbs in some places. So if I'm gonna push the limit, so if I know I gotta be out wide, right, I can do that. I can like put my car over the curbs, or let's say this corner here, I can turn in from out there. It's not, or like out here I can turn in on those curbs. So you want to know the limits of the track. I mean, that's later on, once you get more comfortable and learning how to place the car around the track. So what you don't want to do is, you don't want to be trying to do that before you know where where your turning point is for your apexes and what have you. There is nothing that you guys cannot learn. This world is not built like that. If you guys feel within yourself that you guys are not smart, or you don't have the mental capacity, check your patience level. It's usually not your mental capacity, right? That's altered. It's your patience. But that's why I'm into learning things that are actually fun to do. Nobody said you had to learn how to be a rocket scientist if you don't want to be a rocket scientist. You can learn how to become a race car driver. If you take it serious, then other people would take it serious. They'll say, man, yo, he knows everything about cars. They'll respect you to that degree, even though you don't. Look at that. See, like, well, I'm a little too far over, but on that corner, you're able to now check this out. See how those curbs bump you up? Like, they'll jack your car up, but they bump, they got bumps. But if you take them a certain way, like if the curb is going in this direction and your car is going across the curb, you're gonna boom boom. All right, but if your car is going with the curb, you can ride the curb and get your turn in later or whatever the case, more wider, creating that more rounder angle. I just want to ride in a Formula One car just one time if I have to, like just once, because like being a sim racer, there's a lot of there's a lot that I'm missing out on, as far as that real feel. And I feel as though like if I can get a ride in the car, then I'd be able to come home and tweak my setup in order like to be as real as I can. So that's why I want to do it. Like even seating position. I mean, this is the FGT Elite, FGT rig, not the FGT Elite, FGT rig, and what it does is it gives you a mild formula seating position, right? So formula seating position is this is not a formula seating position at all, right? So a formula seating position, would actually be my feet would actually be I'll show you real quick, up here, right? And I would be sitting down a lot further down, because when a Formula One driver drives, this is about right. When a Formula One driver drives, they say that when they turn their hand, they turn their wheel. Like I right now, my eye level is actually here. So I'm looking at my the joint of my wrist, right? That's where my eye level is. I mean, it looks a little bit different than what you can see, but cause you guys got the higher look, the higher camera view. But yeah, when they drive, their feet are literally in like almost in line to where their hands are. That you see the car, how the front of the car. I'll show you. Uh, can't show you right now. Okay, look at how the front of the car slopes. Their feet are about right here, right in this region right here. See, he's sitting down, he's laying down, so he's sloped. Behind is almost touching the floor, so he's down here. Then his legs arch up and curve, like with the curvature of the wheels. See how everything is like it flows perfectly. Look at the wheels, the nose. It has that perfect contour. That's for that arrow. But his legs are coming up to where his feet are gonna be about right here. Look at his eye level to where his feet are. So his eye level, when he says he turns his hand, he can't see past. He can't see, his hand is blocking. So they say they use a lot of references. Look at this. Perfect. I didn't know you can see that. All right, so look on screen at the driver. Can we go up? Okay. This is actually pretty cool that we can do this. So look at this. Look at his eye. Look at his wrist. Pretty cool, right? His eye level's here. And he's seeing about the same height as me. Probably, yeah, about the same as me. He's probably looking right into that bend of his wrist or the back of his hand. And now his legs now are going to be, his feet are going to be up here. It has that everything, the little two pedal system where it has the brake and it's going to be up here. So with me, my feet are down, and in theory they need to be up here. So this FGT sim seat is cool. It just doesn't have that added height to the feet. And I don't believe there are any adjustments that you can make to the rig to get it that way further. I put mine to the most aggressive seating position. Stand by, I gotta listen, hold on. Okay. My kid's asleep, so I'm just making sure, because I think they left the TV on. Alright, so I mean, this is actually a perfect setup. Shh, I'm streaming. The baby's awake? Okay. Alright, go watch TV, sweetheart. I'll be done in a moment. Well, one of my children is asleep. So, yeah, so, these sims are really made well. See, I get thrown off. I'm sorry, guys. Every time I get thrown off, I don't use a script, so I'm not gonna be using a script anytime soon. I don't believe that that's where I am right now. So I'm just going to pretty much end the broadcast here, and so we'll say the first lesson is is, well, not first lesson, but let's just say, the first rule is believing that you have the ability to learn, and then the second would be to have respect for whatever it is craft that you're going to set out to learn. Being humble and being able to be coached, uh, and then getting right into the lessons. Let's familiarize ourselves with the track. Um, so we'll get more in depth, as these things go. Like, this is not my usual streaming hour. I'm usually doing it, you know, later in the evening when everybody's going to bed, and I don't get interrupted. But we'll get better. All right. So you guys have a good day. Take it easy, and